Hi, you're watching Esther from Stampin Star Creations. So I'm taking inspiration from this wrapping paper because I needed some tags to go with it. So I decided to try and take the colours and elements of the design for my tags. I'm cutting down a sheet of Whisper White cardstock at 8 inches so that I know that I can cut these down into 2-inch tags. Using my sponge brayer here and using Night of Navy. So what I've done is scored 2 points across my page so that I know where to cut this one tag down. So using the brayer to brayer these sections that you can see. So by the time I cut it, all will become clear as to how the tags come about. Using soft sea foam and just stamping down some of the houses from the Snowfront stamp set. Here you can see where I'm going to cut the sheet, so just be careful with your designs, make sure that you are going in the right direction. Adding in some Bermuda Bay with some trees and then wiping it down with the embossing buddy to prepare for when I put the Versamark ink. I wanted to create those copper baubles that were on the paper, so I'm going in with the snow stamp and embossing this in copper. I add the little stars from So Many Stars stamp set and using the copper embossing powder again. After I did it, it felt as if the soft sea foam houses were disappearing, so I added some terracotta tile in the front just to see how that'd look, but I wasn't convinced, so I didn't bother doing it with the other side. I wanted the impression of snow on my page, so I use an old blender pen with some Versamark ink and dab on some marks and what I think is white embossing powder, and I soon realised when I go to heat it, it's not white. I've accidentally used the clear, so this doesn't give my snowy effect that I wanted it to. To try again with my snowy effect, I use my craft white ink and I actually try and add some alcohol spray. I don't know why I chose alcohol over water. I guess I thought it might just have a thicker consistency and dry quicker. Tried to flick it on. Nope, wasn't really working at all. Added some more alcohol to see if it would make any difference. But again, it wasn't working. If you do want to do this technique, you do ideally need the refill. This will work for you a lot better than it did for me. So I took drastic measures and I get some water, spritz it onto my fingers and just flick it onto the page. And then you can see it's got a watery effect. It might not be snowy, but it gives it an extra texture to the project. I trim off any boo-boos, any bits that I don't want on the page, any ends. I even cut away the houses that I didn't like on that page. Yes, my tags are different sizes, but once you've got them stuck to a present, nobody will notice. So just cutting this down to just under 2 inches and running it through my tag punch to cut these out. So these actually produce quite a lot of tags. I think I might have made about 10 in the end, and I think they came out fine. So what I go ahead and do is grab the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set and stamped Happy Christmas over them, and this just helps to ground them a lot better, so I was pleased with how they turned out. And I made some with the terracotta tile houses, and as you can see, these stand out a lot better than they did in the soft sea foam. So I'm laying these out to show you roughly how I cut this, and later on in the video I do actually show you how I cut these down. So with the 2 tags left on the top of the page, I just braid them over with some Night of Navy. I'm bringing back the So Many Stars stamp set to create some more tags and just to I forgot the embossing buddy on the first one, to lay down some stars going diagonally across the page. So I'm trying to stick to these 3 stamp sets, Itty Bitty Christmas, Snowfront and the So Many Stars, to create all my tags today. Keeping this really simple with the Night of Navy and the copper contrast, and I think this looks really sophisticated. Next, I decided to stamp a whole sheet and to go for this look instead, using deliberately clear embossing powder and then masking off the stars with the matching dies and using the dies onto some post-it notes to create some masks. So I lay the masks over the stamped images as a stencil and then using those to colour in with the soft sea foam with my brushes. I go ahead and add Bermuda Bay and Terracotta Tile. Then I mask off the stars that I've just brushed in with the colour. Now, the tricky thing about this is where I cut these, they don't have a lot of sticky at all. So I'm not in the mood to do this. And it takes a bit of patience, and I just re-inked my navy ink pad, so I got streaks, and it was jolly hard trying to keep these still whilst trying to do this. So please learn from me, don't get frustrated, keep calm and carry on, and maybe just cut your stars out so that you do have either some sticky bit on your post-it note or with some other adhesive to keep your masks still. But anyway, it came out with a fun kind of streaky texture, so I just went with it. So this idea came from my sister, who I think then got it off Jennifer Maguire. So here I go with another set of tags. I thought I might be able to do 4 in 1, but I decided that actually it's too many to handle. I'll do 2 in 1 instead. Bringing back the blender brushes and going in with the Night of Navy at the top. Then bringing on Terracotta Tile. Now, when I add the soft sea foam, I'm very aware that it might turn quite brown if I mix those colours together. So I add a bit of Bermuda Bay just to help to mute those colours and to use all the colours. Using the mountains in the background and adding those stars, creating a scene onto these tags. I was tempted to add sentiments or maybe add more, but actually I quite like the look of the simplicity of these tags. So by the time you cut them out, remember you do lose a bit of the border, so I'm just going in to add a bit more detail on the top. And these are the 4 so far, there's still more to go. I'm carrying on working with the Snowfront stamp set, and I stamped 3 times to create that mountain snowy effect, and sticking with my 4 colours to build up another scene. Trying to decide which trees to go in for, but I ended up with the big tree. Now in hindsight, maybe I should have stamped this once, but I was trying to recreate the look with the mountains with stamping more than once, and to maybe create a bit of a shadow or a silhouette with the trees. I think I kind of overdid it, stamping too many times. But sometimes, you know, you've got to learn from your mistakes, and once you start, you've got to go with it and just pretend it was supposed to look like that anyway. So those are those tags done with the Snowfront stamp set. Next, I'm trying a slightly different method where I scored down the middle of my cardstock to create 2 tags in one. This time I stamp the inside. I'm trying to figure out which way the stars go. Stamp the lighter colour first and then the outline. Then I thought, let me just try with the outline first and then stamp in the middle, and you will see from my results actually it's easier a lot of the time to do your darker outline stamp first, and then you can really see where you're going with the inside stamp. stamping on the sentiment in Terracotta Tile, and then adding some navy stars to fill the gaps. Just go around very carefully. I wanted to complete this look and just added some more Night of Navy around the edges onto those stars. Unfortunately, I didn't video the bit where I actually add the offcuts to some copper star dies that I now use in this tag here. But hopefully you'll be able to see from the photographs what I used. So I liked the idea of the blending and the way that turned out, so I decided I would use this star die across 2 tags, stamp that background star, because these dies fit perfectly onto that image, so they can be used together. And then just carefully dabbing it with some multi-purpose liquid glue and then positioning that over the stamped stars. Bringing in a sentiment with the Terracotta Tile colour so that I've used all 4 colours on my tags. Okay, here I'm trying to show you how I got used to cutting down my paper into tags. So it's an A4 sheet cut into half, so you've got A5 size. This is for us UK and Australians. And then I'm keeping it on the short side and cutting at 2 inches. So cut away a 2-inch strip down that side. Those can be cut in half to create 4 tags. And then with this other piece, you want to turn it round and just cut it down to 8 inches. Our paper is just a bit over that, but with 8 inches, it means that you can get enough cut out of this strip to create some more tags. And you only get this tiny little bit of waste. So then you'll have 2, 4, 6 and 8. Plus your other 2, 10 and 12 tags in total from an A4 sheet. So this time I wanted to create a focal point, so I've gone in with soft sea foam and then Bermuda Bay and edging it with Terracotta Tile and making my tree the focal point in the centre. Now I go in a bit too thin with the brushes and I actually swipe my tree. Again, it's quite a fun effect. I should have let it dry a bit longer. I'm covering up my boo-boo by just grounding the tree with a stamp and adding just the touch of a little birdie in the tree just to add that extra last minute detail. So I actually accidentally pick up ink from the Bermuda Bay with the mountains, but I quite like the fact it's got a bit of a mixed mountain colour. Here I'm trying to create a scene so it looks as if you're looking through the trees and through branches, through a forest glade. Just imagine yourself there. So I'm using the sort of skeleton tree around the edges as if you're looking through some branches. I decided to just pick up the ink from my stamp with my brush and then just to create what's called a vignette. So just closing off those edges to make it look even more like a focal point in the centre. I did go a bit too much on one of the tags, but I learnt from my mistakes. So for the final one, I'm going in with this lovely outline large star stamp. Again, trying to stamp 2 tags in one go. And then going in with the terracotta tile, and this fits nice and neatly inside the stars. And I can get 2 impressions out of this colour. Take your time with aligning this. I found that if you just use a certain point of the stamps, those little tiny diamonds inside the circle, to align with the outline stamp, it really helps you to be able to judge where things go. And I got a pretty much perfect impression. Now I do go ahead and smudge my card by accident, so I'm going in with a smaller star just to hide my boo-boos. I stamped the word peace and I wanted a shadow effect. This one didn't come out great, so I tried again. I wasn't happy with that tag, so I do go ahead and start again with that one. Starting with the darker colour and then the lighter, and this worked much better. Thank you for watching. These are all my tags. I hope you've enjoyed my video. Do subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification and you'll be notified when a video comes live. Thank you very much.